Okay, I am not with the fans on this one. And so I want the fans, when they see this clip, to comment on why you want Jaden Ivey. And Ryan, you might be able to tell me, but when I look at Jaden Ivey, I see an undersized shooting guard. Yes, he's explosive. Yes, he's aggressive. He plays with a high motor. He finishes well at times. He's an active defender, but he's also a bit of a liability on defense. This dude's got no mid-game whatsoever. He's a layup or a three-point shot. He's got nothing in between. And so I'm sitting here looking at a guy that, you know, yes, he's got a nice longer wingspan for his shorter body, but we watched him at Purdue. I watched him do the Lamar Odom charge again and again, where he would just run into dudes for no reason. It was obvious as could be, and he get the shocked face when he gets called for it. But I'm seeing essentially maybe a Spider Mitchell, not as good at scoring and not nearly as good defensively. Maybe a KCP, where he's a little bit better offensively, but not nearly as good defensively. Or at his ceiling, when he was healthy, a Victor Oladipo. But I really don't even see that. I see an undersized two-guard. I understand he's explosive. I understand that he's aggressive. But he's not a great shooter. He's great athletically, and he's not a great defender. And so I understand you need to put a shooting guard with Cade, and that Killian is not going to do it for you, it looks like. So he might be our bench guy. But I'm not seeing it with Jaden. So help me here. Why would we want him?
The reason you would want Jaden Ivey is because he is super athletic, which you alluded to. But if you're going to be concerned about the jump shot and your glass half full, which if the Pistons are going to draft any of these guys, they're all going to need to make improvements. But the jump shot is or shooting in general is the easiest thing to improve on when you get to the NBA. Obviously, you get more repetitions, but you also get to work with the best shooting coaches in the world. They can look at your shot, tell you what you're doing wrong with it, and tell you why you're missing. They're going to basically rebuild it from the ground up if it's necessary to teach some of these guys who haven't shot. Now, we've seen it not work. Ben Simmons hasn't developed a jump shot yet, but you've seen it on the other end where a guy like Jason Kidd came into the NBA with not much of a jump shot. And then by the time his career was over, he's a pretty effective shooter. Same thing with LeBron James. He's probably taken a dip maybe recently, but for the last few years, he's been around like 38 to 40% from three on like pretty high volume. So we've seen instances of guys improving their jump shot all the time. There's guys in every draft class that do it. There's also guys that don't. But that is the benefit for Jaden Ivey, and then Jaden Ivey would be the one with the best handle out of all of these guys. And he's the one who can take the ball out of Cade's hands the most, and I guess take the most pressure off of him, right? You don't necessarily want to say take the ball out of his hands, although that ends up happening, but it's just somebody who can take the pressure off Cade Cunningham, like with Jalen Brunson doing with Luka Doncic, or when Chris Paul and James Harden were together. That sort of same dynamic, where now you have another ball handler, and you can run Cade off ball a little bit more, and hopefully he improves his shooting from three, because I do think last season or this season was an anomaly where he had horrible percentages from beyond the arc. I think he's a better shooter than that. So if you give him some easier shots and you let him run around off ball, I think that is the appeal of Jaden Ivey, is to just get Cade, make the game easier for Cade Cunningham.
Okay. I don't want to take anything away from the kid. And if he turns into Donovan Mitchell as far as scoring ability, that's great. And we know he's got a quick first step, and that quick first step leads to a lot of openings for him, whether it's driving to the hoop or a wide open three, because the defender doesn't want to close out because he's going to blow by him. I get it. But I just saw so many wide open misses by this guy that it just bothers me that I'm seeing this guy. You're going to be playing against faster, bigger, stronger competition now in the NBA. And blowing by guys in college where 2/3 of them at the very least are not going anywhere after college. It's just, I understand that his athleticism, a lot is made of it, and I can see the upside of having him. But we've had shooting guards that really can't score here too many times. And I'm worried Jaden Ivey is going to end up being another one in that long list that we've had of shooting guards that can't shoot.
I think can't shoot and can't score is a pretty important distinction. Right. Because I don't think Jaden Ivey really is going to have a problem scoring, getting to the basket, getting to the line or whatever. But, yeah, if you have a shooting guard that can't shoot, that really limits a lot of what you're able to do offensively. And a guy, I think you would say maybe his ceiling is, or like a good comp for him would be a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who was also taken number 5 overall. It came out and was just super fast and super athletic, but he wasn't the best shooter coming out, and the jury's still out on De'Aaron Fox today. There's a lot of people who don't like his game. I like his game, but it seems like the Kings have been trying to trade him for 3 years now or something. So you really never know with these guys, and even if Jaden Ivey hits that De'Aaron Fox, I don't want to say it's his peak, but if he hits that De'Aaron Fox level, you're still going to be fans who I think you're still going to have fans who aren't happy with the pick. If that's the pick.
You mean De'Aaron Fox as far as the speed and the way that he scores? Because Jaden Ivey's not a point guard. He might have the height of a point guard, but he's not a point guard. He's a 2 guard. And De'Aaron Fox is absolutely a point guard. He's a scoring point guard as well. But he's not – I'm not going to be looking for Jaden Ivey to be dishing out sweet assists a la Aaron Fox. The scoring ability – and look, De'Aaron Fox this year was 23 points a game. I would take that in a heartbeat. So if that's the comparison, I'm all for it. But I'm not expecting Ivey to be a point guard in the NBA. I don't see point guard abilities as much as I do see as just a straight 2 guard. He's just a couple inches short for the position that he's been born for.
I don't think that Ivey would have the same role as Fox because you have Cade Cunningham holding the ball. So to that point, he wouldn't be a point guard, but he's only 1 inch taller than Fox is. Fox is listed at 6'3", at least on Basketball Reference, and Jaden Ivey is listed at 6'4". De'Aaron Fox, 32% from 3, not great. This year, he was 29% from 3, which is even less great than what Jaden Ivey is. So I guess if you're looking at a comparison, that's one that it could be. And I would like to see De'Aaron Fox next to Cade Cunningham. So I don't think it'd be a bad fit. He's not the guy I'd want at 5 if I had my pick between these 3, but he'd be my number 2 pick.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a